Hello, and welcome to a webinar of the New York State Council on the Arts, also known as NYSCA. This is our new webinar presentation, 10 Tips on Pre-Qualification in the Statewide Financial System, also known as SFS. In this webinar, we are going to provide a few tips on the pre-qualification requirement for new and returning NYSCA applicants. Just to run through the basics for a minute, nonprofits must pre-qualify in the statewide financial system before they can compete for state grants or receive payment from NYSCA or any other New York State agency. Training materials for navigating the statewide financial system can be found on the SFS website. At the end of this presentation, we will remind you of where those training materials can be found. Please note, grants-making activities, including pre-qualification, transitioned from Grants Gateway to the statewide financial system in January of 2024. All pre-qualification transactions will be processed in SFS. Updates and submissions to the Grants Gateway document vault are not being accepted. Grants Gateway vault identifier numbers are no longer assigned and will not be required. Your pre-qualification status will be associated with your SFS vendor ID number. All organizations that were in pre-qualified status in the Grants Gateway in January of 2024 will continue to be pre-qualified until their annual pre-qualification expiration date as displayed in the statewide financial system. To view your pre-qualification status and expiration date in the statewide financial system, log into SFS, select the View Your Information tile, then select the View Grants Information tile. If you have an approved, expired, or in-progress pre-qualification application in SFS, the pre-qualification status and the expiration date will be displayed on the left side of the screen. If the status and expiration date fields are blank, your organization is not pre-qualified in SFS. All organizations that had previously registered in the Grants Gateway received an SFS enrollment email with login credentials and instructions on how to access the SFS vendor portal. If you do not have access to the login credentials, please have the primary contact at your organization, also known as the vendor delegated administrator, email the SFS help desk for assistance. NYSCA does not have access to SFS user IDs and passwords. The SFS team provides live help desk support weekdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at helpdesk@sfs.ny.gov or by calling 518-457-7717. Emailing is preferred. Important, all organizations will need to log into SFS and confirm access to the grants management module in SFS in order to pre-qualify, apply for a grant, or receive a payment. For our new applicants, there are 3 basic steps to pre-qualify. Step 1, your organization registers with SFS by emailing in a notarized registration form and any accompanying documentation. The statewide financial system is run by New York State, and all agencies that award grants to nonprofit organizations must use it. Step 2, after registering, your organization chooses a primary agency that they plan to apply for grants from, answers questions online, uploads core governance and financial documents into the pre-qualification application in the SFS website, and submits the pre-qualification application for review. If you choose NYSCA, once you submit your pre-qualification application for review, a pre-qualification specialist from NYSCA reviews it and either approves it or requests more information through SFS. At the end of these steps, if your application is approved, your pre-qualification status will be pre-qualified. You will have to upload updated financial documents and submit an updated pre-qualification application for review every year to remain pre-qualified. All organizations will need to log into SFS and confirm access to the pre-qualification application feature in the grants management module in SFS. My name is Marnie Geller. I am a pre-qualification specialist here at NYSCA. I am very pleased to be narrating this webinar today. NYSCA has worked with thousands of arts and cultural nonprofits from all over the state that are successfully pre-qualified each year before our grant application deadlines. We want you to be successful too. Now we will talk a little bit about step one. Step one, register your organization in the statewide financial system. To register an organization, send a completed and notarized grants management registration form for statewide financial system vendors and accompanying documentation, if required, by email to grantsreform@its.ny.gov. Attachments must be in a compatible format, such as a PDF, Word, or Excel, and must be under 20 megabytes in size. PNG files and links to websites are not accepted. Your organization will then be assigned an ID number called an SFS vendor ID number. Login credentials and instructions will be emailed to your organization. Note your ID number as you will need it to apply for a NYSCA grant. Also note, the grants reform at its.ny.gov is a special email address just for registration. Now, we will talk about step two. Complete your pre-qualification application in SFS and submit it for state review to become pre-qualified. Be sure to have your SFS login information available and the required documentation ready to upload. You will answer questions online about your organization's policies and procedures and upload key documents. A pre-qualification specialist here at NYSCA will review your pre-qualification application and either approve it or request more information through SFS and direct email if necessary. You can find basic instructions and checklists at the URL presented here. As a reminder, you must have an SFS vendor portal account and be assigned the pre-qualification processor role in the SFS vendor portal to see the pre-qualification application tile. Note for SFS vendor delegated administrators. For basic access to the SFS vendor portal homepage, all vendor users must be assigned the base access role and the login access role in SFS, in addition to other roles based on the tasks an individual performs. Staff involved in more than one aspect of a business process, such as submitting pre-qualification applications and signing grant contracts, need to have multiple roles assigned to a single user ID in SFS. And now, here are our 10 tips for getting and remaining pre-qualified. Tip number one, start early. You may pre-qualify at any time. However, we strongly recommend that you start now. NYSCA and SFS are not likely to resolve any issues by a grant application deadline in any pre-qualification application submitted less than 10 business days before an application deadline. Grant applications received from nonprofit organizations that are not pre-qualified in SFS at the grant application deadline will be disqualified. We don't want to disqualify anyone because they didn't get pre-qualified on time. The amount of time it takes for a review to be completed depends on the quality and completeness of a submitted pre-qualification application. Also, keep in mind, we may have hundreds of submissions at a time. SFS instructions note that it can take up to 10 business days to review a submitted or resubmitted pre-qualification application. Incomplete or outdated submissions will cause delays. Tip number two, be sure all contact information in the statewide financial system is up to date. If the email addresses on file are incorrect, you may miss important notifications, instructions, and requests regarding your pre-qualification status. For example, if someone leaves your organization, immediately check SFS to make sure that the primary contact and delegated administrator's contact information is current and updated if necessary. Additional email addresses can be added to the pre-qualification application if you would like other people to receive notifications regarding your pre-qualification status. This is in addition to changing your contact information in the NYSCA application portal. NYSCA does not have the ability to change your organization's information in SFS. To make address or contact changes in SFS, click on the Supplier Change Request tile on your SFS homepage. For more information on how to update your organizational contacts, please visit the Manage Your Grant page on NYSCA's website. Tip number 3, check your pre-qualification status and expiration date in SFS. This is particularly helpful for ongoing group grantees who may be pre-qualified but want to make sure that they will still be pre-qualified at a NYSCA application deadline. It is your organization's responsibility to check. You may check your current pre-qualification status and expiration date in SFS at any time. To confirm your pre-qualification status and expiration date in SFS, log in to FSS, select the View Your Information tile, then the View Grants Information tile. Your pre-qualification status and expiration date are displayed on the left side of the screen. If the status and expiration date fields are blank, your organization is not pre-qualified in SFS. If you are not pre-qualified in SFS or your pre-qualification is expired, you will have to submit a new or updated pre-qualification application in SFS. If your status is pre-qualified, you must update and resubmit your pre-qualification application by the expiration date, or your status will change to expired and your organization will no longer be pre-qualified. For example, every year, many of our grantees have documents that expire in May or November and lose their pre-qualification status because they have not yet uploaded new financial documents or have not submitted their pre-qualification application for review. We recommend you check your pre-qualification status every so often just to make sure you're on top of these dates. Don't risk your organization falling out of pre-qualified status. You could see the pre-qualification status and expiration date on the left. This organization is pre-qualified. However, their pre-qualification status is due to expire in November and will require updating and resubmission at that time. Tip number 4, assign user roles in SFS. The primary contact listed for your organization in SFS is the only role that can add additional roles for your staff. The primary contact is also known as the vendor delegated administrator. NYSCA recommends that you add the following SFS roles to the appropriate users on your staff. The pre-qualification processor role, to apply for and review existing pre-qualification applications, and the grants contract approver to review, approve, and sign grant contracts. Also, again, if there has been staff turnover within your organization, you may need to update who is serving as the SFS vendor delegated administrator. If you need help, contact the SFS help desk. We will share their contact information at the end of the presentation. Tip number 5, your organization must either have or have taken steps to adopt certain policies and procedures. While organizations are not currently being asked to upload their policies, you may be asked for copies of the policies you claim to have adopted in the future. NYSCA does not require any particular policy form or language, but you must indicate that you do have certain policies and procedures. If not, an explanation must be provided and will be evaluated. We recommend that you do not wait until the last minute to find out which policies and procedures are required for your organization. A list of required policies and documents can be found in the pre-qualification application PDF, which we will share as a resource at the end of this presentation. Requirements vary based on the size of the organization. For example, organizations under $1 million do not need a whistleblower policy, although it can be best practice to have one. NYSCA understands that some of the policies can seem burdensome for a small arts organization. For example, for an organization that has no paid staff, it may seem challenging to state that you have a staff code of conduct. NYSCA suggests that you create a policy that fits your organization. So, a small arts organization with no paid staff might have a 2-sentence policy and can expand the policy in the future if and when they hire staff. Tip number 6, Board of Directors profile and organization chart. SFS requires that your board information be provided in a concise format. Please do not upload resumes, staff bios, or a copy of a web page into the Board of Directors profile section, as these may not contain sufficient information. There is a template available on the Grants Management website, which you can access through the first URL shown here. All organizations must also upload an organization chart. You can reference sample organization charts through the second URL shown here. Tip number 7, show internal controls for contract signing and payment. All organizations must separate their fiscal and legal functions and must have more than one individual authorized to pay contracts and sign contracts. Here's the reason why this is important to NYSCA. NYSCA gives grants to many smaller organizations across the state. NYSCA needs to make sure that even the smallest organizations have basic internal controls. A simple way to think about internal controls is that you never want one individual to make all the decisions on a transaction. So please take a moment to study this question carefully. Tip number 8, remember to update documents annually. Remember to submit entire copies of the following documents on an annual basis: your IRS 990, 990EZ, or 990N, your financial audit or review and material findings, or the equivalent, and your CHAR 500 or CHAR 410. These 3 financial documents expire on an annual basis. Nonprofits must upload current versions of these documents into the respective sections and submit their updated pre-qualification application for review and approval each year in SFS in order to maintain pre-qualification. We see returning applicants who fail to add updated documents to these 3 sections by the deadline. Nearly all had the relevant filings completed and available before the deadline. Remember, you can check your expiration date at any time. One more compliance point. There's a section in the pre-qualification application called Audit Reviews and Findings section. Organizations that are too small to require a financial audit or CPA review under New York State law will need to upload a financial statement into the audit section. If your organization's revenues are below $250,000 and you do not file an audit or review, we just need you to upload a final, completed internal financial statement for your organization that shows your revenues, expenses, liabilities, and assets for the most recently completed fiscal year. There is no required template, but make sure the document states your organization's name, the period covered, and the associated financial data. Letters from CPAs or board members that do not include the financial data will not be approved. Tip number 9, check dates and documents. Enter the fiscal year begin and end dates as they are displayed on your documents. Make sure that financial documents are correct, complete, and correspond to the most recent fiscal year. Accepted file formats include PDF, Excel, and Word, and must be under 20 megabytes in size. PNG files and links to websites are not accepted. For detailed information on which documents are required for your organization, visit the URL shown here. Tip number 10, don't forget to submit your pre-qualification application for review. Like many websites, just uploading files or answering questions online and saving is not enough. You need to formally submit the application for review. Once you submit the application, your pre-qualification status will change to in review by agency, and an automated email will be generated by SFS and sent to the email addresses provided to SFS immediately. If you do not receive an email, check your status. Failure to answer all questions and upload required documents will prevent the application from being submitted. If you do not successfully submit your application review, NYSCA is not able to review any materials and you will not be pre-qualified. Applications that are in progress, in review, or in expired status are not considered pre-qualified. Here is a screenshot of an application that is ready to be submitted. To submit your application for review, select Yes to attest and certify. You will then be able to review and submit the application. So that wraps up our 10 tips. As a last note, SFS has many great training resources. They even have a special website for training and materials on the grants management website. Additional training and reference materials are available in SFS Coach. To access SFS Coach, log in to SFS and select the SFS Coach training tile on your homepage or the SFS Coach training icon in the menu. Here are a few resources. First and foremost is the Vendor Prequalification Manual. This is a great go-to resource that guides you through the entire pre-qual process and breaks down every question in detail. Next is the website resources document. If in the process you encounter a question that asks about a topic, a policy, or procedure that you're not particularly familiar with, this document has links to many helpful resources that can help you answer the questions. Finally, Grants Management holds live webinars for organizations interested in familiarizing themselves with SFS. The regularly scheduled sessions include topics like registration and pre-qualification. Any organization new to pre-qualification should review the reference materials on the Grants Management website before contacting NYSCA. For further information regarding pre-qualification or review of your submitted pre-qualification application, please email prequal@arts.ny.gov and be sure to include the name of your organization and as registered in SFS. If you are having difficulty logging into SFS or need password assistance, please contact the SFS Help Desk directly. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you have found this presentation helpful. If you have any questions, concerns, or recommendations for us regarding this webinar, please let us know by emailing help@arts.ny.gov. We wish you the best of luck in the New York State pre-qualification process. Thank you.